prevent you from filling a cylinder, it should be marked and set aside in a designated safe area. Contact your propane supplier for assistance. Remember that a trained operator must be present during the entire filling procedure. There are two ways to fill a mower cylinder. They can be filled by weight, using an accurate and approved method, or they can be filled by volume, using the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. All cylinders must be filled outdoors or in an approved filling area. Whether filling by weight or volume, the following steps should be taken before you fill or exchange your cylinder. Park the mower and turn off the engine. Set the parking brake. Touch a grounded object to control static electricity. Put on appropriate personal protective equipment. Close the service valve. Unscrew the service line fitting. If you have a left-hand thread, loosen to the right. If it's a right-hand thread, loosen to the left. Remove cylinder from the mower and set upright on level ground. Inspect cylinder and valves for leaks, wear, and damage. Make sure all cylinder valves are closed. Filling by weight. When filling mower cylinders by weight, it's important to note that the steps involved may vary depending on the type of equipment installed at the facility. Always consult your supervisor for more information. Before beginning the filling process, make sure the platform scale is clear of all debris and obstructions. In addition, platform scales require periodic maintenance and should be checked for accuracy. To fill cylinders by weight, follow these steps to determine the total filled weight of a cylinder. Check the water capacity and tare weight stamped on the cylinder or its protective collar. Determine propane capacity by using the following formula: water capacity in pounds times 0.42 equals propane capacity in pounds. Add the tare weight and propane capacity together to determine the total filled weight of the cylinder. Next, add the hose and fitting weight to the total filled weight of the cylinder. This is the scale set point. Set the platform scale to the set point. Make sure the scale is level and no obstructions interfere with proper operation. Always be present and pay close attention during the entire filling operation. Place the cylinder on the scale. Select the proper hose and adapter to fit the cylinder valve. Remove the protective cap or plug from the valve. Connect the dispensing hose by rotating the filler nozzle clockwise until it is firmly attached to the filler valve. Start the pump. Slowly open the filler nozzle or hose end valve. When target weight is reached, close the filler nozzle or hose end valve. Shut off the pump. Loosen the connection and wait for any trapped liquid to bleed off. When all trapped liquid has been vented, disconnect the fill nozzle or hose end fitting. Verify the filled weight. Reinstall appropriate valve caps and plugs. Replace any caps and plugs that are missing. Apply any required DOT and/or OSHA labels and a cylinder warning label if the manufacturer's label is not legible or you removed a paper or plastic sleeve. Filling by volume. Before filling cylinders by volume, open and close the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge to be sure vapor vents. If no vapor escapes, the valve may be blocked and must be reopened before the gauge will operate properly. Do not attempt to fill a cylinder by volume if the fixed maximum liquid level gauge is damaged or inoperable. Filling by volume follows a similar procedure with a few adjustments. Remember to always be present and pay close attention during the entire filling operation. Select the proper nozzle or hose end adapter to fit the filler valve or service valve. Remove the protective cap or plug from the valve. Connect the cylinder. Open the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. If a white mist appears when the gauge is opened, stop. The cylinder is already full. Start the pump. If through a filler valve, slowly open the filler nozzle or hose end valve. If through a service valve, open the filler nozzle or hose end valve and then slowly open the cylinder service valve. When a white mist begins to escape from the fixed maximum liquid level gauge, immediately close the hose end valve. Close the vent valve on the fixed maximum liquid level gauge. Failure to shut off the propane promptly will result in an overfilled cylinder. Overfilling a cylinder can create a hazardous condition. Shut off the pump. Make sure the cylinder service valve is closed. Loosen the connection and wait for any trapped liquid to bleed off. When all trapped liquid has been vented, disconnect the filler nozzle or hose end fitting. Reinstall appropriate valve caps and plugs. Replace any caps and plugs that are missing. Apply any required DOT and/or OSHA labels and a cylinder warning label if the manufacturer's label is not legible or you removed a paper or plastic sleeve. Post-filling procedures. After the cylinder filling operation has been completed or any time the filling station is unattended, close the valves at the storage tank. Store the hose on a rack inside a fence-protected area, inside the dispenser cabinet, or secured to a supporting structure inside the filling room. If the location isn't weather protected, install a dust cap or plug into the hose filling adapter. Secure the installation against tampering or unauthorized use. Cylinder exchange. When exchanging a mower cylinder, the following steps should be taken as you bring your mower to the protective storage cage. Park the mower and turn off the engine. Set the parking brake. Touch a grounded object to control static electricity. Put on appropriate personal protective equipment. Close the service valve. Unscrew the service line fitting. If you have a left-hand thread, loosen to the right. If it's a right-hand thread, loosen to the left. Remove cylinder from the mower and store in a designated safe area. Select a full cylinder. Inspect cylinder and valves for leaks, wear, and damage. Make sure all cylinder valves are closed. Placing cylinders onto mowers. If the cylinder is installed horizontally, position the cylinder securely using the alignment pin on the saddle that matches the hole in the collar of the cylinder. Secure the hold-down straps properly. Make sure the pressure relief valve is set to the 12 o'clock position. In some instances, alignment pins may be missing or have broken off. If your mower has a missing or broken pin, it should be replaced immediately because it can cause a serious safety problem. If the cylinder is installed vertically, simply position the cylinder securely in the cradle and secure the hold-down straps properly. Make sure the service valve is closed before connecting the fuel line. Reconnect the fuel line and slowly open the service valve. Check the cylinder and its valves for leaks with a non-corrosive leak detector solution inspecting the gaskets and O-rings in the filler valve and service valve connector for defects or leaks. If a leak is found, close the service valve immediately and notify your supervisor. If no leaks are found, start the mower and you are ready to go. Refueling propane lawnmowers is an efficient and easy process when performed safely. Remember to always properly refuel your mower and do not take shortcuts. Your safety and the safety of your co-workers depend on it. Dispensing propane autogas. Propane autogas dispensing stations across the U.S. offer a safe, convenient, and quick fueling source for vehicles. In order to ensure your safety and the safety of your co-workers, you should know about the fuel, equipment, processes, and regulations that are involved in fueling these vehicles. This module gives you the basic information needed to fill propane autogas tanks. However, before you begin the filling process, you need to make sure that you view the first two modules of this program. These two modules will provide you a better understanding of how to safely handle and transfer liquid propane. You have not completed the necessary training to fill propane autogas tanks unless you complete modules 1 and 2 first. Dispensing station equipment. Propane autogas dispensing systems are very similar to gasoline or diesel dispensing systems with a few important differences. Propane autogas dispensers are closed, pressurized systems that keep the propane in its liquid state. Most dispensers use a gasoline-style low-emission nozzle that has a closed, threaded connection to maintain pressure while transferring the fuel. Some dispensers use a low-emission nozzle that does not have a threaded connection and is placed directly on the filling connection. To dispense propane autogas safely, be familiar with the specific equipment you are working with and how to use it. Just like a gasoline station and gasoline pump, each propane autogas fueling site and dispenser will have instructions on the correct use of the equipment. Equipment at fueling sites vary, so always follow instructions at your site. Refueling a vehicle. Preparation. Before refueling your vehicle, make sure you're aware of the following information regarding safety and handling procedures. Know your facility's fire prevention and emergency evacuation plans, including where and how to operate the emergency shutoff valve. Please note that there are different types of emergency shutdown systems. Be sure you know how to operate the emergency shutdown system at your facility. Locate the nearest fire extinguishers and make sure they are in proper working condition. Know how to use the fire extinguishers according to your company policies. Only use fire extinguishers to create an escape route, not to fight a propane autogas fire. The only way to extinguish a propane autogas fire is by stopping the flow of fuel. Ensure that there are no ignition sources within 25 feet of the filling area or metalworking operations including grinding, oxygen fuel gas cutting, brazing, soldering, or welding within 35 feet. Make sure that a propane decal is in the lower right of the rear of the vehicle, above the bumper. This is required on propane autogas-fueled vehicles. Inspect the dispensing equipment. Take a look and check for signs of damage or areas that could be leaking. Check the hose and filler nozzle for signs of wear. If you smell propane or see or hear a propane leak, do not fill the vehicle. In addition, be sure to follow any instructions for inspection or operation of the vehicle that are provided to you by the manufacturer or your propane autogas supplier. Refueling a vehicle. Connecting. Much like conventional fuels, refueling your vehicle with propane autogas is a simple, efficient, and safe process. Follow these steps. Park on level ground near the dispenser to ensure that the tank is properly filled. Turn off the vehicle. Make sure that no one is inside the vehicle while you refuel. Do not allow unauthorized people in the filling area. Remember that an operator must be present during the entire filling procedure. Do not smoke, strike matches, or light a cigarette lighter. Do not use cell phones or other electronic devices. Put on appropriate personal protective equipment. Touch a grounded object to control static electricity. Remove the motor fuel filler valve cap by turning the cap counterclockwise. Be sure to keep track of the cap for replacement after refueling. Inspect the filler valve. Make sure the O-ring in the filler valve is seated in the groove and is not damaged or missing. Never connect the filler nozzle to the filler valve if the O-ring is missing or damaged. This could result in a release of propane and the potential for injury or fire. Connect any fill hose end valve adapter if necessary. If you have a threaded nozzle, connect the propane autogas filler nozzle to the motor fuel filler valve and rotate the filler valve nozzle clockwise until it is firmly attached to the filler valve. Make sure the nozzle is properly threaded. An improperly threaded nozzle could lead to a dangerous leak. If you have a nozzle that does not have a threaded connection, push the nozzle securely on the filling connection. The nozzle will automatically lock onto the connector when the trigger is squeezed. As a built-in safety device, if the nozzle is not properly connected, propane will not be dispensed. Refueling a vehicle. Dispensing propane autogas. Activate or turn on the dispenser. Slowly squeeze the nozzle trigger to begin fueling. When the OPD stops the flow of fuel into the tank, close the filler nozzle. Turn off the dispenser. Disconnect the filler nozzle by rotating the nozzle connector counterclockwise and return it to the dispenser. If you have a non-threaded nozzle, the nozzle and connection will separate automatically when the trigger is released. Once this occurs, you can return the nozzle to the dispenser. Check for leaks near the filler valve. Follow your company's policy if you observe a leak. Replace the filler valve cap if applicable. You are now ready to go. Refueling propane autogas vehicles is a safe, efficient, and quick process. Always refuel your vehicle properly and do not take shortcuts. Your safety and the safety of your co-workers depend on it. Composite cylinders. Composite cylinders are different in many ways from steel and aluminum cylinders. Propane composite cylinders are high-strength containers made from a mixture of fiberglass or carbon fibers and a plastic resin, typically epoxy. The main body of the composite cylinder may be translucent, which means that the user can easily see the liquid level in the cylinder and avoid unexpected fuel runouts. The service and fill connections on composite cylinders are identical to those connections on valves used in steel or aluminum cylinders. No adapters are necessary to use or fill composite cylinders. Special care of composite cylinders. The proper care and handling procedure for composite cylinders is different from those of steel and aluminum cylinders. When handling composite cylinders, do not expose composite cylinders to temperatures higher than 149 degrees Fahrenheit. If a composite cylinder is dropped from a distance of 4 feet or greater, a complete inspection should be performed by qualified personnel. Wash composite cylinders with soap and water, and be sure to completely rinse the soap away after washing. Water jet and chemical cleaning methods can be used to remove other materials from the cylinder surface, such as tar oil, labels, and other foreign particles. Inspecting a composite cylinder before filling. Before a composite cylinder can be filled, a visual inspection must be performed to ensure the cylinder is still in proper condition and can be safely filled. Follow the manufacturer's recommendations for pre-fill inspections. Inspect the cylinder to ensure that the required permanent markings are on the cylinder. Check the markings for completeness and make sure that the latest test or inspection date is no more than 5 years old. If the latest inspection date is more than 5 years old, the cylinder cannot be filled and must be removed from service for requalification. Additionally, any cylinder that is more than 15 years beyond its original inspection must be permanently removed from service and cannot be requalified for continued service. If any damage is observed that meets or exceeds the rejection limits, the cylinder must be permanently removed from service by personnel who are authorized in writing by the manufacturer. Once a pre-fill inspection of the composite cylinder has been completed and no damage has been observed that requires removal or repair of the cylinder, it can be filled with propane. Filling a composite cylinder. Filling of composite cylinders must be consistent with the shipping requirements in the Hazardous Materials Regulation for DOT. This means that the same local, state, and federal filling regulations and procedures that are used for steel or aluminum cylinders should be used for filling composite cylinders. Since composite cylinders are made of resins that have the ability to generate and store static electricity, additional safe handling procedures are recommended. Composite cylinders should be neutralized with a water spray or anti-static solution before refurbishing, purging, or filling. Filling composite cylinders by weight. Composite cylinders less than 200-pound water capacity are required by the DOT to be filled by weight if they are being transported in commerce. Otherwise, they can be filled by volume. Since filling by weight may be different depending on the cylinder type, contact the manufacturer for complete fill-by-weight instructions. Additional training for filling composite cylinders. DOT special permits require that each hazmat employee who performs a function mentioned in the permits, such as filling or refilling cylinders, must receive training on the requirements and conditions of the permits in addition to the training required by DOT regulations. One of the special provisions included in DOT special permits for composite cylinders is that a copy of the manufacturer's DOT special permit for the specific composite cylinder filled must be maintained at each facility where the cylinder is offered or reoffered for transportation. Retail cylinder exchange operations. Exchange cylinder cabinets provide a convenient way for recreational and grill cylinder customers to obtain fuel. Retail exchange cabinets are used to store small cylinders awaiting resale or exchange and can be found at home improvement, convenience, hardware, and equipment rental stores, as well as gas stations, campground grocery stores, and truck stops. Consult with your local authority having jurisdiction should you have questions regarding the proper location or other code requirements for a retail cylinder exchange cabinet. Exchange cabinets can be used to store either full cylinders or empty cylinders that have been returned by customers. Whether full or empty, all cylinders should be handled in the same manner. Following proper procedures will ensure that cylinders are stored and handled safely. Check with your supervisor if you are not sure of all cylinder exchange cabinet procedures or requirements. Setting up cylinder cabinets. Cylinders stored at a location open to the public must be protected by a fenced enclosure or a lockable